Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a high-stakes fable that, on the surface, looks like your standard thrilling tale of survival, but secretly, it actually contains the ultimate blueprint for modern leadership and influence. We're going to decode the exact principles hidden within the story and show you how mastering soft skills can literally save your neck. Okay, picture this. A massive, angry crowd has gathered in the town square. Right at the center is a guy named Ibrahim, just a humble well digger. He's bound in heavy chains, his wrists are scarred by ropes, and he is staring down an executioner who is literally actively sharpening his sword. The crowd is mocking him, screaming thief. You see, the Sultan has accused him of pulling off a massive heist from the royal treasury. And Ibrahim's only defense? A wild, unbelievable claim that he got the jewels from a mythical underground djinn. Of course, the crowd erupts into laughter. To them, he is an absolute dead man walking. So, you might be wondering, how exactly does a desperate guy in this impossible situation survive? And more importantly, how can the art of diplomacy save your life when you are completely cornered? Well, we are about to unpack the exact conflict resolution tactics Ibrahim used to turn a deadly situation completely around. Let's get into it. Section 1. Facing the executioner. High stakes and false accusations. Let's backtrack a bit and see exactly how our protagonist got to this terrifying climax. This whole crisis began way before the execution block. For 3 brutal years, a severe drought absolutely devastated the Valley of Thirst. Abraham was desperate to provide for his hungry wife and his 3 daughters, so he went searching for a mythical underground river supposedly hidden beneath a black rock. He digs until his hands are quite literally bleeding, when suddenly, boom, he falls through the earth into a pitch-black cave. He hears the beautiful sound of rushing water, but moments later, he realizes he's staring at a terrifying chained djinn trapped beneath a massive, crushing stone. Moving right along to Section 2, Listening in the Dark, Finding Allies in Unexpected Places. This brings us to the first major turning point of the story, and it's a real game changer. Imagine being in absolute darkness, staring down a supernatural monster. Ibrahim's interpersonal skills are being put to the ultimate test. But instead of panicking or, running away screaming, Ibrahim applies a core principle of influence, being a good listener. Even though he's terrified out of his mind, he pauses. He gives his full attention as the djinn explains his century-long agony, trapped by this unimaginably heavy stone. Ibrahim uses empathy to build deep trust in an incredibly intimidating environment. Let's break down exactly how this interaction went down. First, he empathizes with the trapped creature. Actually, scratch that. He doesn't just empathize. Using all his remaining strength, Ibrahim physically pushes the heavy stone right off the djinn's foot. The djinn is so grateful, he asks a favor. He hasn't tasted sweet fruit from the surface world in years, so Ibrahim climbs all the way back out, gets some fruit from his loyal grocer friend, Yunus, and brings it back down into the dark. In return, the djinn rewards him with a bucket full of indestructible, priceless jewels. His empathy led to action, which led to a massive, life-changing reward. Which brings us to Section 3, Mutually Beneficial Alliances, the Power of Interests. Now, let's shift gears and look at the psychological principles driving Abraham's success here. He built a mutually beneficial alliance, not just with the djinn, but with his friend Yunus, who just handed over the fruit without questioning him. And this brilliantly illustrates our next core concept, talking in terms of other people's interests. Notice how Abraham secured his unimaginable wealth? It wasn't by demanding water for himself right out of the gate. No, he focused entirely on fetching the sweet fruit the djinn desperately craved. He solved the djinn's problem first. But as you probably know, newly acquired wealth rarely goes unnoticed for long. Enter our antagonist, Qasim, the royal treasurer. Now, Qasim was incredibly corrupt. He was secretly stealing from the Sultan's treasury and replacing the real jewels with cheap, fake glass replicas. When Qasim hears rumors that 2 poor guys, Ibrahim and Yunus, suddenly have vast riches, he hatches this really dark plot. He decides to frame Ibrahim for the treasury theft to cover his own tracks. So Qasim plants fake jewels in Ibrahim's house and has him arrested. Let's compare the strategies at play here, because it's a stark contrast. Qasim's tactic relies entirely on deception and destruction, framing a totally innocent man. Yunus, however, takes a completely different path. He realizes what's happened and knows he has to act fast to save Ibrahim, who is currently rotting in a prison cell. So Yunus investigates and actually corners Qasim's servant. But here's the kicker. He doesn't use bribery. He doesn't use threats. He uses something so much more. Yunus utilizes a brilliant principle, appealing to nobler motives. He looks the servant dead in the eye and asks, "How will you ever face God if you let an innocent man die?" Wow. By calling upon the servant's highest moral sense, the guy's heart just melts. He breaks down and hands over undeniable proof, real jewels, and a secret letter detailing the plot, which Eunice then miraculously manages to sneak to Ibrahim in prison. Okay, on to Section 4. Diplomacy in Deadly Conflicts, de-escalating at the execution block. Which brings us right back to our high-stakes climax. Ibrahim is at the execution block, the sword is sharpened, and he is literal seconds away from losing his head. Now, while he was rotting in jail leading up to this exact moment, Ibrahim practiced immense self-control. He completely avoided criticism, condemnation, and complaining. He didn't curse the heavens, he didn't angrily blame his friend Eunice for investigating and stirring the pot, he just maintained absolute composure. And that strict mental discipline kept his mind perfectly clear for what he had to do next. Now, what's really interesting about this is human nature. The instinctive reaction for almost all of us would be yelling, begging for our lives, or angrily criticizing the completely corrupt justice system that put us there. But look at Ibrahim's diplomatic approach. When the Sultan asks for his final wish, Ibrahim remains totally calm. He honors the Sultan's dignity instead of attacking him. He does this by giving honest and sincere appreciation. Ibrahim looks right at the man who is about to order his execution, and he sincerely praises the Sultan's justice-loving nature and his generosity for even granting a final wish. This diplomatic masterstroke instantly disarms the angry ruler. The Sultan's entire demeanor softens. He grants the wish, buying Ibrahim those few crucial seconds he desperately needs to survive. And here is the grand finale of how this conflict was masterfully resolved. Ibrahim asks to look upon the so-called stolen jewels one last time. As they're brought over, he secretly grips the real, indestructible jewels Eunice had smuggled to him in prison. Suddenly, he forcefully smashes his real jewels against Qasim's glass fakes. The fakes just instantly shatter into a million pieces in front of everyone. The frame-up is visually, undeniably exposed. And the best part? Ibrahim didn't have to raise his voice or get into a shouting match once. The Sultan instantly saw the truth. Awed by this huge revelation, the Sultan immediately arrests Qasim on the spot. Feeling incredibly guilty for almost executing an innocent man, the Sultan offers Ibrahim a top ministerial position and his own daughter's hand in marriage. But Ibrahim respectfully declines the marriage. He tells the Sultan, "I cannot belong to anyone else. She gave me courage when I had nothing." This profound display of loyalty to his wife Fatima completely melted whatever lingering anger the Sultan had left, securing Ibrahim the role of water minister and his buddy Eunice the role of treasury minister. Talk about a happy ending. Let's wrap it all up in Section 5, the 5 leadership pillars, timeless principles of influence. So the crucial point we've been building towards is this. This fable is actually a hidden masterclass in the timeless psychological principles popularized by Dale Carnegie. Let's run through them one more time. 1. Sincere appreciation disarms even your worst enemies. 2. Being a good listener builds trust, literally even with monsters. 3. Addressing other people's interests unlocks unimaginable rewards. 4. Avoiding complaints keeps your mind sharp in a crisis. And 5. Appealing to nobler motives inspires your allies to risk absolutely everything for you. And look, if you're ever doubting the real-world value of these so-called soft skills, just look at the highly tangible results on the board here. Being a good listener literally gained Ibrahim a powerful, magical ally. Focusing on the jinn's interests resulted directly in a fortune in jewels. Sincere appreciation halted an execution. These aren't just polite social graces, guys. They are highly effective strategies that translate directly into life-saving, concrete business and survival results. I mean, think about it. By internalizing these core principles of influence, you can effectively outsmart and outnavigate 90% of people in any crisis. While everyone else is panicking, complaining, or reacting with pure hostility, you're using structure and diplomacy to engineer your exact desired outcome. You're basically playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. We've seen how a humble well-digger used empathy, composure, and strategic communication to conquer a jinn, expose a corrupt official, and totally win over a sultan. So my final question to leave you with today is this. The next time you find yourself cornered in a hostile conflict, are you going to fall back on instinctive anger, or will you take a breath, analyze the board, and resolve it with masterful diplomacy?